The Multicam Editor lets you create professional-looking video compilations from footage of events that have been captured on different cameras from different angles. Footage can be captured on a wide range of video recording devices, such as action cameras, DSLRs, or smartphones. You can also include audio captured independently on a microphone.
Think about the winter.
Now, before we start our edit process, I'm going to bring in the content for this project that has been shot with 6 different cameras. You can import content from the project bin or from a watched folder. I'll create a project bin and then bring my content into that. From the navigation panel, I'm going to select New Project Bin, give my project bin a name, and click OK. I'm going to call this one Snowflake. Now, clicking on the Import Media icon, I can select the content that I want to bring in and click Open. Once my content is in, I can then select the clips that I want to bring into the multi-camera editor, and then I can either click the multi-camera editor icon on the timeline here, or by selecting my content, I can right-click and select multi-camera editor. In the multi-camera editor dialog box, you can see I have my clips on the left-hand side and my project list on the right. I'm going to give this a project a name. Again, we'll call this Snowflake. And one other thing you might notice is that I can actually move these tracks around. This is helpful in a situation where I may have shot more than one clip from the same camera. Obviously, they're going to be at different time frames, so I'll want to put these in the order that they were shot, and that will make it easier for me to build my project from that. I'm just going to move this back. I'm happy with that, so I'll simply click OK. So after the processing, you'll be brought into the multi-camera editor. In the editor, we can see the 6 clips on the left-hand side, as well as these channels here. One is black, which can be used for fading, and one is used for cropping. The first thing we'll do is set up Smart Proxy. Under the Settings icon, Smart Proxy Manager, we want to make sure that Enable Smart Proxy is selected. By enabling Smart Proxy, Pinnacle Studio will automatically create files between 4 and 6 times smaller. These are used when editing the content. It will greatly improve the performance while editing. Once all editing is completed, the original source files will be used to render out your final project. So in here, Smart Proxy Queue Manager, currently it's blank, and that's because I've already rendered these out. I'll click OK to this. Back up to Settings, Smart Proxy Manager, and then Smart Proxy File Manager. Here we can see the files that have actually been rendered out to smaller versions. Close this off. One other thing, underneath my settings, Save As, and I'm going to give it a project name. I'll type in Snowflake and click OK. Now before we start the project, we have to make sure that all of our content is synchronized. By clicking on the waveform icon, I can see that my waveforms are not in sync with each other. So that is the audio track that is associated with each of these video clips is out of sync with each other. Now these clips can be synced in one of 4 different ways, either by audio, by marker, shooting date and time, or manually. If I select marker, I have the ability to select a clip. I'll position my scrubber to a place that I want to add a marker and simply add the marker. I'll go to my second clip, move my scrubber to that position, and add a marker. I do this process through all clips, and when I click on Sync, it will automatically sync based on the marker. I'm just going to do a Control Z to undo that. And I will remove the marker by simply selecting the clip and clicking on the marker to remove it. The next method is shooting date and time, and of course this will take the EXIF data from the file and match that up accordingly. The third method is manually. I can simply drag these clips along my timeline to make sure that they're all synced with each other. Again, I'll Control Z to undo this process. And the final way is audio. Now audio is probably the most effective. I'll hit the drop down. I can go to audio, and if I click on sync, it will actually take a look at the audio tracks and sync those up. Once all the clips have been synced, you may want to lock each track. This will stop the tracks from accidentally being moved along. Audio switching is a feature that gives us the ability to select which camera we're going to be using the audio from. I can actually select in here the camera that I want. I'm actually going to select Audio 1, as the Audio 1 track was actually a studio recording of the song.
Now that we have everything set up, we can start to edit our clips. Clicking on the play icon, we can review each of the thumbnails as the footage progresses. As it progresses, if you wish to switch camera views, simply click on the camera view and it will be added to the timeline. The multi-view panel on the left helps make this task fun and easy, much like a DJ switches and blends tracks to create a music compilation. The multi-editor lets you visually switch between video tracks and blend them together.
Tossed by the weather, carved by the wind, as it goes whirling down. Think of the storms.
Rather than hitting the play, I can also use the scrubber bar and move it along the timeline. And when I get to an area that I want to add to my project, I simply need to click on the thumbnail to add it.
Reminds me of you. Snowflakes are the roses of winter, the most beautiful flowers of all. Each one is different, each one is beautiful.
After you've gone through the entire video, you can select PIP or picture-in-picture track and add additional content that will appear in one area of the screen while the main video plays in the background. I also have the ability to change the position of the PIP content by clicking on this. I can select upper right, upper left, bottom right, or bottom left. Then it's simply a matter of clicking the play and selecting the track that you want to have as a picture-in-picture.
That little snowflake is one of a kind. That little snowflake reminds me of you. Snowflakes are the roses of winter, the most beautiful flowers of all. Each one is different, each one is beautiful. 'Cause it
Now it's quite possible and very easy to do some additional editing within the multi-camera editor. For example, to add a transition, I simply need to select my clip, I'll move my scrubber between the two clips and click on this icon to add a transition. If I wish to remove that transition, it's simply a matter of clicking on this icon again to remove that. I'm going to add a few transitions and we'll see how that looks. Move to the various locations where I want to add the transition, and it's simply a matter of, as I say, clicking on this icon. Now, other editing that I can do in here, you'll notice, for example, if I scroll along to this area, my picture-in-picture comes in bottom right-hand corner. As I continue moving along, when I come into the next clip, I have the same image as my picture-in-picture. What I want to do is I'm going to take this clip within the picture-in-picture track, I'll pull it back a bit, and I can actually reposition that. So now if I take a look at this, you'll see that that picture-in-picture comes in and it goes out before the other image comes in. So quite easy to do some additional editing. Now that I've finished with my project, it's simply a matter of clicking OK, and that will save my project for me. In Pinnacle Studio now, all I need to do is grab my project and bring it onto my timeline. Here I can double-click and continue to edit this. Or, if I wish, by clicking Multicam Editor, I can take it back into the Multicamera Editor to continue editing the tracks within there as well. That brings us to the end of this tutorial. We do hope that you will have many hours of creating professional-looking videos using the multi-camera feature within Pinnacle Studio. Thank you for taking the time to watch.